Good afternoon. My name is Anthony Weiner, Democratic candidate for mayor of the city of New York. I have said that other texts and photos were likely to come out, and today they have.
You all right?
As I've said in the past, these things that I did were wrong and hurtful to my wife and caused us to go through many challenges in our marriage that extended past my resignation from Congress. While some of the things that have been posted today are true and some are not, there is no question that what I did was wrong. This behavior is behind me. I've apologized to my wife, Huma, and I'm grateful that she has worked through these issues with me and that I've had her forgiveness. I want to again say how very sorry I am to anyone who has received the receiving end of these messages and the disruption that this has caused. And my wife, as I have said, my wife and I, as I've said, are moving forward together. To some degree, with 49 days left until primary day, perhaps I'm surprised that more things didn't come out sooner. I'm responsible for this behavior that led us to be in this place, but in many ways things are not that much different than they were yesterday. This behavior that I did was problematic, to say the least, destructive, to say the most, caused many stresses and strains in my marriage, but I'm pleased and blessed that she has given me a second chance. For the past several months, I've been asking New Yorkers to also give me another chance, to show them that I had a vision for the middle class and those struggling to make it, and that I wanted to move forward. It is perfectly reasonable for people to ask about this chapter in my life, to be curious about it, and I'm going to be there and try to answer those questions as best I can. It is also perfectly understandable that all of you are doing your job, being here in these great numbers, and I'm sure it's not just because of the mayoral forum we're going to have in a few minutes. But all of that being said, let me just reiterate to my wife how sorry I am that I did these things, and how sorry I am to the people that got these messages for any inconvenience or embarrassment they've caused. Now, some have asked the question, where does this fit in? Some timeline of the continuum of the resignation. Look, the resignation was not a point in time that was nearly as important to my wife and me as the challenges in our marriage and the challenges of the things that I had done, and working through them. Some of these things happened before my resignation, some of them happened after, but the fact is that that was also the time that my wife and I were working through some things in our marriage. I'm glad these things are behind us. I know that this was a very public thing that we had happen to us, but by no means does it change the fundamentals of my feelings here, and that is that I want to bring my vision to the people of the city of New York. I hope they're willing to still continue to give me a second chance, and I hope they realize that in many ways what happened today was something that frankly had happened before, but it doesn't represent all that much that is new. And now I have a chance to do something I haven't had a chance to do on the campaign yet. Huma, as you know, has been out there with me recently, and she had a few words that she wanted to say. So my amazing wife, Huma Abedin.
Hi, good evening. As many of you who have followed this campaign know, I've spent a good deal out on the campaign trail, at churches and street fairs, parades. But this is the first time I've spoken at a press conference, and you'll have to bear with me because I'm very nervous. And I wrote down what I wanted to say. When we faced this publicly 2 years ago, it was the beginning of a time in our marriage that was very difficult, and it took us a very long time to get through it. Our marriage, like many others, has had its ups and its downs. It took a lot of work and a whole lot of therapy to get to a place where I could forgive Anthony. It was not an easy choice in any way, but I made the decision that it was worth staying in this marriage. That was a decision I made for me, for our son, and for our family. I didn't know how it would work out, but I did know that I wanted to give it a try. Anthony's made some horrible mistakes, both before he resigned from Congress and after. But I do very strongly believe that that is between us and our marriage. We discussed all of this before Anthony decided he would run for mayor. So really what I want to say is, I love him, I have forgiven him, I believe in him, and as we have said from the beginning, we are moving forward. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
I'll be glad to take one or two questions. Don't go far.
When did your wife find out that there were messages after the resignation?
She knew all along this process. As I was more and more honest with her, I told her everything. So this is something we knew going into the decision about whether I would run. What is that, Grace?
Is this over? Are you in touch with any women right now?
No,
Why should New Yorkers believe that this isn't going? You're not going to relapse if you are mayor.
This is entirely behind me. It was when I decided to get in, and we had this conversation. That is why, if you remember, in the early days of the campaign, people were pressing me for, is there more out there? And I said yes.
So
I said that there was, and so to some degree, this was something that we had in front of us, as Huma just acknowledged, that we knew might come up, and we decided that, look, this was something that we had worked through together, something had put behind us, and something we wanted to keep behind us. But as I've said, it's in our rearview mirror, but it's not far. We still work every day at our marriage. Yes, sir.
Anthony, new bitches are old bitches. But when you said that there was more out there, you didn't say there was more out there from the point after you resigned in June of 2011. How do you explain that? In his latest assertion, the latest chat was as recent as August of last year, 14 months after you resigned.
Yeah, I mean, I said there were more things out there. You have as a fixed time the resignation as the important moment in the public discussion. That was when the public got a glimpse into something that we had been working on before, during, and since. And this behavior of mine was part of that. And when we went through this process and we became closer and worked through some of these challenges, we put it behind us, and I put it behind me. And frankly, we're in a lot better place today, or else I would not have run for mayor.
When was the last explicit text or Facebook?
I can't say exactly. Sometime last summer, I think.
Was it after you told People Magazine, quote, or your wife told People Magazine, it took us a lot of work to get where we are today, and he's trying to be the best husband you can be?
Yes.
Was it after that?
Yes.
There are mounting calls for you to drop out of the race. What do you say to those people who want you to drop out of the race?
I'm sure many of my opponents would like me to drop out of the race.
Yes, sir. When was the definitive moment here for you? You said some things were true online, some things weren't true. Can you tell us what was not true?
No, I think I've said in my statement, one of the things I'm not going to do, and I said it to your newspaper, is I'm not going to get into a back and forth with people who are releasing things, whether they be true or not. People have a right to say whatever they want, and I brought that upon myself. I'm prepared not to dispute anything that is out there, but suffice it to say that people are out there saying things that are not true. But that's not the point. That's not the point. I accept the responsibility for having these conversations with these people who I never met, with exchanging inappropriate things in the context of our marriage, and that was a mistake, and I bear responsibility for that. That is behind me, and we're trying to move forward. And we recognize it's not going to be easy. We knew at the moment we got into this race that it wasn't going to be easy, but I believe this is an important thing to be doing. Thank you all very much.
Why should we trust your judgment?
Excuse me.
Why? Why should we trust your judgment?